Don't worry, there's nothing in there. See what I did there? This is the Nothing Phone 2, and I'm so excited to play with this phone because Nothing Phone 1 was actually a really good phone, a really good Android device. So it's interesting that they've done some upgrades on this. We're gonna see what that's all about and see what's new. This is not a review video, it's just the first impressions, first hands-on video, but make sure you subscribe because the reviews come in a couple of days or so. So let's get on with it. First thing first, we need to see what's in the box. The box is very slim, very similar to the previous version, so nothing new there, but it's really nice and slick though, and it's very nothing as well in terms of the design. It looks really good. And then opening it up, I've already taken out the phone. Don't worry, the phone is here. We'll talk more about that in a second. And I've also got the Nothing Phone 1 here as well, so we can see what's the difference between the both of them. And in here we have our, what looks like user guide, safety information actually, rather than user guide. It's just a safety pamphlet. And then here, this is really cool. Look at the SIM ejector tool. Look at that. That is pretty cool. That's probably the coolest SIM ejector tool I've ever seen. It's very nothing, so that transparent feel that's really cool. And then we have our USB-C to USB-C cable. This is also quite cool actually. If we look at the, it's got this transparent plastic around the actual end bit there, which is pretty nice. I quite like that. It's nice little touches. Nice one, nothing to charge. When are we gonna stop these nothing jokes? They're not even funny anymore, to be honest. So, don't be fooled straight away. This is the Nothing Phone 1 and this is Nothing Phone 2. And some of the visible differences straight away, you see the camera placement on the front. So it's on the side on this one, whereas on the new Nothing Phone 2, we have it nicely placed in the center of the display there. The display is bigger. The Nothing Phone 1 was 6.5 inch display, I think, and the new one is 6.7 OLED display. It's brighter as well. We have 1600 nits peak brightness on the new one versus what was 700, I think, on the Nothing Phone 1. And then if we look on the side, you can see that they've slightly tweaked the metal frame as well, 100% aluminium there. The tweak that they've done is basically on the Nothing Phone 2 is slightly slimmer compared to the Nothing Phone 1, as you can see there. It's hard to see actually on camera. You have to take my word for it. If we look up top, they haven't changed much apart from that microphone placement. So you can see it's now on the antenna band on the Nothing Phone 2. And then on the bottom of the device, it's still pretty much the same. As you can see there, we still have that stereo speaker set up. Actually, you can see they've got slightly more holes there as well. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think. And this is only 4. So it's got 2 extra holes in there. And then if we look on the side, the buttons are pretty much the same, although one seems a bit more flush on the Nothing Phone 1. This sticks out a bit more on the Nothing Phone 2. It's nice and clicky, so that's probably why they've done that. And then if we look on the back, you see that the camera placement is pretty much the same as well, but the flash on the back is bigger on the Nothing Phone 2. You can see the difference there in terms of both. And then the obvious one as well is the new Glyph that they've got on there. So on the Nothing Phone 2, we now have 33 individual addressable zones on there compared to the older one. So you can see that that's broken up there compared to this, broken up there as well. And at the bottom there, it's broken up. The main charging one there is still pretty much the same on the back. This red dot, that's changed as well. So red dot there, red line on this one, that's changed as well. And then if we look around the camera, you see that they've also updated the light around it. So this is broken up on the Nothing Phone 2 versus the Nothing Phone 1. One more thing actually is the back glass. So on the Nothing Phone 1, it's fully flat, sits flush. But on the Nothing Phone 2, you can see that it's got this pillow sort of effect on the glass on the back. So it's kind of slightly raised on there, which gives it that better feel in hands when you're holding it. The only problem with this though is you definitely need to get a case because this thing is slippery AF. Like literally you place it on the surface and it starts sliding off the surface, so you don't want to end up smashing it. It's Corning Gorilla Glass, so it should be strong enough, but I wouldn't trust it. You still need to get a case for that. The camera specs on this, we have dual camera setup, so 50 megapixel each. The main camera is an IMX890 sensor, which is f1.88 aperture, and the ultra wide is f2.2 aperture. We have a bigger battery in this as well, so it's 4,700 milliamp hour battery. We have faster charging as well, so we can wirelessly charge this at 15 watts of Qi wireless charging, and we can also charge it via wired at 45 watts, and you can also do reverse wireless charging at 5 watts. So it's improved in some sort of sense there as well, which is really nice to see. This will be available with 8 gig of RAM, up to 12 gig of RAM. You can select different storage as well. So 8 gig 128, 12 gig 256, and 12 gig 512 internal storage in there. No expansion slots. It's dual SIM and IP54 water and dust resistant rating. It's running on Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. And on the front as well, they've updated the camera. So we now have a 32 megapixel front-facing camera, which should mean, you know, higher resolution content and maybe more lighting in the center as well. So that's pretty cool. So this is running on the latest Nothing OS operating system. You can see the icons there, which you can also change. You can have it as color or you can have it as monochrome. So if we go into customization here and we go to icon pack, we have a Nothing and color. So all that will happen is your icons. So at the moment, if we look at Instagram, that's black and white. But if we go back into customization, icon, put it to color, that will go to some sort of like Android-esque color, but it still gives you that Nothing feel as well because it's still kind of like flat and just really nice. I quite like the operating system on this. It's so clean. This is like the iPhone of the Android world, basically, if you want to call it that. If we go back into that customization settings, we have our widgets as well. So you can have so many different widgets and just add them to the main screen. But you do have the Nothing widgets as well. So like you got your analog clock, digital clock, and some other ones as well, like torch lights and auto rotate and stuff. That auto rotate one's a weird one because I'm used to having it up here, but never mind. What you'll also see is the Tesla integration still there, so you can actually just use that to operate different things to do with your car if you have a Tesla. In settings, a couple of things there that's worth showing is some new updates on the Glyph interface, and you also have some settings on the display as well. So this is LTPO, so you can have these go from 1 Hertz all the way to 120 Hertz, and touch sampling rate on this is 240 Hertz as well for gaming and all that stuff. So you can adjust if you want it at standard, so at 60 Hertz to improve battery life if you need to do so. You can have it as maximum, which is what I've been doing, or dynamic, so the phone decides when to go from 1 Hertz all the way to 120 Hertz to suit your preference and to help with that battery savings. HDR display, this supports HDR10. And then if we go into Glyph interface, they've updated these as well, so things like brightness, you can adjust the brightness on here. You got 10 new ringtones on here and notification sounds as well. So you still got the classic ones on there if you need to do so. You can switch the whole thing on and off if you want to. If you go to ringtones, you can adjust, you can add a ringtone for different contacts. As you can see there, got a default ringtone, Nothing Phone 2. So these are the new ones on the Nothing Phone 2. So you can go across like so. And each one would affect what's on there. Let's see if I can show that at the same time. So sliding across. So you can have different light setup there. Pretty cool. That's pretty nice. So you can select different ones and save it as well. You can also add your own sounds because you can do add new sound and then you can add whatever you want to add on there to suit your preference if you're not happy with what you've got already on there. And then into notifications, you can set different sort of lighting for different notification as well. And what it also does now is when you select what you've got there, you can select which exact notification you want it to be. So the light will light up for those particular notification, or you can set it for all of it. And what it also does is it stays on until you've read that particular notification. So that way, if you flip it to the other side and you left it on the table or whatever, it will just stay as that until you've opened that particular notification, which is pretty cool. Just reminds you to check that notification before it's too late. That is another new one. You got flip to Glyph. So for quiet focus, put the device with Glyph interface face up on the flat surface to trigger silent lights only notification and call. So that way you don't get any sound. You flip it, it flashes to let you know when there's a phone call or whatever. You also have this Glyph timer, which is pretty cool. I tend to use it now. So I've set it to 10 minutes. It just means now, if I put this on, I can focus straight away for 10 minutes straight doing one thing, and that light just slowly just adjusts itself and count down as the 10 seconds, 10 minutes, whatever goes down. We also have a new composer settings. So with this one, we can actually compose your own sound as well. It reminds me of the old Nokia days where you can make your own ringtone and stuff like that. You can also select different, sound packs. So you got brr, Dan, bug, and modem, and 606 composing. So you can do modern, go back, and then it gives you different sound as you go through the whole thing. Volume indicator as well. So when you press the volume, you can also see the light adjust when you play music or that sort of stuff. It will adjust according to the light. We already know about the charging one, so when you start charging it, the bar at the bottom moves also. Google Assistant support and all that stuff's there as well. Subtle updates, but fantastic. If it's going to be a gimmick over time, who knows? But I've been using that timer one. Works really well. In camera settings, in the user interface, very similar again. You have slow-mo, so you can shoot slow-mo footage, 1080p up to 120 frames per second on both lenses, which is cool. We have optical image stabilization, EIS, and there's also an AI mode on top of that to help record things as smoothly as possible. So you got ultra-wide, single, and then 2x zoom there. And then we can change the settings up here, 1080p at 60, 1080p at 30 when shooting there. Second, can do the same. And then we can also shoot 4K videos. So you can do 4K at 60 frames per second or 30 if you wish to do so. But loads of options there. We go into photos. We go to settings there. You now have motion photos, so you can do those nice artsy looking stuff and keep your hand steady. You got quality, you can go to 50 megapixel mode, or you can shoot standard 12 megapixel. And then you got grid settings and so on. If we go to more settings, you got things like shutter sound. The shutter sound on this sounds amazing. Oh, that sounds good. That is so satisfying. But back to settings. So you got things like mirror your front-facing camera, tap to take photos, QR code scanner, all the usual stuff's there. You also have portrait mode. If you go into more, you have macro mode as well, so you can get really close, and expert mode, which then means you can store stuff in RAW mode. So you can select RAW there, so you can then edit it after the fact. But the flashlight here, we have Glyph fill light. We can do normal flash, you can have always on, and so on. So if you have the Glyph one, you can see that the whole light's on the back of the phone. So if you don't want to, that serves like a fill light. So if you're into your photography, this might be a cool thing for you, because rather than have that punchy flashlight in your face, this is what you'd have instead. This works in video mode as well. I really like this, by the way. Yeah, that's pretty much it with the camera interface. I can't go too much into it now, but in the full review, I'll be showing samples and all that stuff that I've done with it and tell you how I feel about it. So that's pretty much it for the Nothing Phone 2. I think so far so good. I really like the feel of it. It feels very premium, which is amazing for the price point. Again, I can't tell you the price point yet in this video, but I'm sure you'll be watching this after the launch event, which they should have revealed the pricing then. And I would like to know what you think of the pricing, because I think it's really good for what you're getting on this. It's rocking the latest Snapdragon processor, A+ Gen 1. It's got a good level of RAM, storage, and it's just nice and slick and smooth, and the camera quality is actually pretty decent on this. So do look out for that, and the sample shots and stuff. I'm sure you would have seen some on my Twitter as well. But that's pretty much it for the Nothing Phone 2. If you have any questions, drop them there. Anything you want to see in the final review, let me know as well. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.